Hello.
Hi.
Monai, let's pretend like we haven't seen each other all day. How are you, girl?
It's been forever. Excited about today, launching our show and announcing Big Break Foundation. So it's all good things, all great.
It's almost like Christmas morning, isn't it?
Yes. that is, you should have told me that earlier. I could definitely resonate with that. I've been working in this the last 6 months and it doesn't even seem like that long. And so being able to share it with the world now is, I'm excited. I'm ready.
I am super excited for you as well. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Big Break Foundation TV. I am Summer Martin, and this is my lovely co-host, Monai Rooney. What's up, girl?
Well, I'm like I said, really excited to launch the foundation and then the opportunity to be on TETV and have monthly episodes and diving into more about themed entertainment, location-based experiences, and the barriers that exist in this industry that we're going to help shatter and amplify voices and
do the damn thing. So as you mentioned, again, welcome to Big Break Foundation TV. And here at the network of under TETV, shout out to all the lovely peeps. They're doing great work there. Really what the vision of this particular show is, we're striving here to amplify, enlighten, and celebrate inclusion through storytelling and authentic conversations such as the one that we're going to have tonight with you, or today, just depending on when you're looking at this. But again, before we get started, just briefly wanted to just say who I am, Summer Martin. I reside in Dallas, Texas via Los Angeles. I am new to this industry that we are going to touch on in a few minutes. I'm super excited to work with Monai and the other people that you are going to meet very soon. And Monai, any fun facts about you before we get into the nitty-gritty of this conversation?
Yeah, first I need to really thank my parents because they really created the person that I am today to be the executive director of Big Break Foundation. I've always had the opportunity and the privilege to be able to go to amusement parks and aquariums and zoos and museums all throughout the nation. And at the time, I'll be honest, I didn't appreciate it. I was like, oh my goodness, one more experience. And I just want to go swimming or play outside or sit in front of a TV. But really, all my experiences up until now has created me to be the person I can be for Big Break Foundation. So just really excited to do that. Grew up in California, moved to Florida, always been involved in themed entertainment, a huge advocate of, treating people as the human beings that they are and seeing them as the person that they are, and making sure all their needs are met and having a voice in every space. No,
that's perfect. In fact, in the spirit of inclusion and level setting the conversation, you touched on a little bit about what the location-based experience is, but just to make sure for people who may be new or not familiar, again, you're talking about museums, but just kind of elaborate just a little bit more, just to make sure everybody understands what we're talking about when we talk about this world.
No, absolutely. And just to preface, Big Break Foundation is going off of location-based experiences as theme parks, water parks, museums, aquariums, zoos. But a location-based experience can be so much more than that. Concerts, inaugural events, cruise ships, hotels, so much more. And so the industry is so robust, and we're learning even more now that experiences are popping up everywhere. So this is where we're going to start now, but you never know. We could be expanding what that is.
Yes, and we hope after this conversation, again, you're going to learn a lot about some heavy topics. But before we go there, just more introducing this world, especially now that my eyes have been open. I obviously was a consumer. I like to do fun things too, but I didn't necessarily see myself as a professional working in this space. And that's what this is all about too, is just exploring the possibilities of this new world. So I did allude that the conversation could get a little heavy as we go on, because this work is serious. It is can make people uncomfortable. But we ask, today is the first day of bridging that gap and starting the conversation and hopefully encouraging people to be a part of this work that we're going to be talking about. So just, warning. We will have some heavy moments, but there's sunlight and silver linings through every moment. So we will have laughter and fun where appropriate too during this conversation. So should we get started, darling?
Absolutely. So we have some incredible guests that will be joining us today, our co-founders of Big Break Foundation. First, I want to talk about Chuck Fawcett. For those who don't know, he is the president of TEA, president of Animax Designs, and they do everything from animated characters to full animatronics worldwide, and just an all-around amazing guy, pioneer within this industry. And then our other co-founder, Patrick Kling, creative art director and all-time theme park enthusiast. And just both of them huge advocates for doing the right thing and making sure that we have the most accessible industry for an equitable future.
Yes. We don't have drum rolls or anything, but yeah, just bring them in. Hello, gentlemen.
Thanks, Monai.
Hey, everybody.
Absolutely. Welcome.
Hello.
So hold on. What is this TETV you keep talking about? Is that cue applause? No. Hey, everybody. Great to be here. Great to be here. First time I'm a guest on the network, so I'm really excited to be here as a guest.
Is it your first time as well?
No, he's been on.
Oh, you've been on TETV.
I've been on once. I think once.
Perfect. Well, we are excited to have you guys here. And before we get right into it, because we're going to jump in the deep end real quick. But before we do that, just any fun facts. How was your day today? Anything fun, exciting happen in the world of Patrick and Chuck today?
Who's the question for?
Both of you.
Me.
Chuck, first.
My day was typical. It was filled with overly ambitious things related to Animax, related to TEA, related to my wife and 4 kids. I like to bite off more than I can chew every day of my life, and I suffer from it. But it's good. It's the life that I choose, and Big Break definitely fits into that. And adding another layer of complexity but satisfaction, knowing that we're doing something so great and so needed, is really great. Having Patrick as a partner in crime is icing on the cake for me.
How about you, Patrick?
Yeah, it was a great day. Woke up and I put on pants on just like normal and everybody else does, right? Except they're shorts. I don't wear actual pants now. I'm working from home. No, great day. I've had a couple discussions today about inclusion with some other TEM board members. So it was actually a really inspiring day and really building up an anticipation for talking about what we've been up to. So I'm really excited, really pumped to begin. It starts today.
It starts today and right now.
Yeah.
So just let me set the stage for the audience just a little bit. And in terms of Patrick's work in what some would call wokeness, the awakening, and just really being intentional and purposeful about doing better and learning more, right? Fun fact about how Patrick and I met. the power of the internet and social media. And it was the springtime of last year, actually. And this was around the time specifically where, there was a call for people to be more inclusive in their corporate environments, right? Opening up to marginalized groups. And so Patrick had put out a call on Twitter for anybody who was interested in the themed entertainment world, location-based experience world. And by random, I saw his tweet. I wasn't necessarily following him initially, but I said, okay, Patrick, stranger guy, sure, I will meet you. And he sent me a calendar, and I scheduled with him the next day, and we started talking. And that's literally how the world opened up. But Patrick, going back to that, the moment you sent that tweet and the intention behind the tweet, tell us about that. Why did you do that?
Yeah. So what had happened it was Viacom CBS, the company I was at. They participated in what was called Blackout Tuesday, and what they did is they wanted everybody to reconnect back with their community, or to participate in a protest. This was back after the George Floyd murder happened, and they wanted people to just have a time to take away and connect with their community or do whatever they wanted. So it's a long story, but I knew that we needed to do better with outreach in the community. And I thought, what can I do with, I kind of started building a little bit of a Twitter following. And so I tweeted out to try to get out of my normal circle that I have on LinkedIn, which is people who are already in the industry, and put that all call out. And as a result, I think I talked to probably around 45 different people, different professionals. Some were in the industry, some were without. And the main goal was to just try to open up a little bit more access and to share my passion about the industry, and also sharing with people the fact that if you're in a neighboring industry, you might have project management experience, you might have graphic design experience, any experience. I guarantee about 99% of jobs can come within the themed entertainment community, themed experience community. They just need to know it. We just need to get out there and to spread the word outside of our inner circles. And so that's the whole point of that tweet. And ever since then, I'm so proud of, I'm happy that you've joined in and you're a part of this industry now, and are a part of Big Break Foundation too. It's really quite remarkable.
Yeah, and it's a lot of what you'll see in the theme is, access and opening the doors. And so Chuck, now talk about how you and Patrick, have this meeting of the minds, I guess, in terms of how can we do better? What can we do? Tell us about how that moment came about.
Oh gosh, that requires a little bit of warm-up story to get to that answer. But I remember last year, around the time, I've known Patrick for a number of years now, just through our industry and through TEA and whatnot. And I remember last year when the pandemic started to set in and we all realized, oh my gosh, this is not going away. This is serious stuff. The one thing that I noticed at that time, it all forced us all, after we got through the shock and panic, to slow down. And in slowing down, those were the times when you could really see people kind of come out and show their true colors. And I saw Patrick all over social media and the internet, reaching out to people saying, hey, I'm here for you. If you need a mentor, if you need an ear to bend, I want to talk about that. And I was really just very impressed and inspired by that. And I think that, that kind of led to Patrick inviting me to come on to what was the early version of TETV at the time. He was just getting together with some colleagues and, putting some panels together with some, industry leaders, quote unquote, like myself, and to inspire people that had lost their jobs, who were wondering, gosh, I just entered this industry. I just graduated from college and now I'm unemployed and everyone's unemployed, and give me hope, give me inspiration. So I participated in one of those events with Patrick. That started, the snowball rolling down the hill. And then I think it was later in the spring, and I think events, just watching the effects of the pandemic, more of the catastrophic effects on our industry and people losing their jobs everywhere, added to the fact that, we saw what happened with George Floyd, and, the social justice movement kicked in. It really just kind of moved me. And Patrick and I just spent, a good bit of time just talking back and forth about, hey, these are things that I'm doing to reach out and help people. What are you doing? And we just decided one day, hey, why don't we just get together and put our energy together and do something great. And I remember the early seed of that, Patrick, was us getting together, sponsoring a group of people for the the TEA digital case studies last summer. And I remember asking you and a group of people, including Cynthia Sharp and a few others, to help me, because this is all new territory for me. Like, I'm new to this. My heart is speaking to me. I want to help people. How do I do this? Where do I start? And then how do you choose? How do you make the Sophie's Choice decision? If you have a group of people, you need to say, I've got 20 openings and we've got, 50 people applying. So Patrick really helped me maneuver through that. And I just found that whole process so satisfying, personally satisfying. That's really what, lit the spark for the two of us to get together and say, hey, what more can we do? And you know what? Let's not just make this a fly-by-night thing. Let's create a permanent, long-lasting impact on our industry. And that was the birth of Big Break.
Yeah. Patrick, anything to add to that?
Yeah. I'll just say that my journey with diversity and inclusion and equity, started, I'd say December of now it's been 2 years, right? December of 2019. And I tweeted, it's kind of this personal story. I tweeted out, or somebody tweeted out on Twitter, right? That's what you do on Twitter, an image of a major theme park company. And they pointed out that it was basically a bunch of white people in it. And, up until this point, I'd consider myself colorblind. I never really see color. And, I'm just good to everybody I can. And, that's just kind of how I feel like I should be. And so I didn't really see all these issues out there. I had a lot of privilege. And when I saw that image, come up, I had a discussion with somebody. And I said, hey, I agree that we want to have more people in the industry. I just don't even know where to start with that. And they pointed me to a guy, RJ, who started Creative Quest Foundation, and very inspiring, designer, artist who has started his own company. And I said, hey, how can I help you? What can I do? I heard his story, and I don't want to get into the details of his own personal story, but it really woke me up to the how much harder it is for people in marginalized communities to get into the door. Even though they're already kind of in the door, they're not breaking through. And so we set up a few open houses. One was in person, and then they went virtual. And we just started, doing what we could of that day. And, I then, of course, attended the school of Cynthia Sharp, watching all of her programming. And, she's a big mentor. And, the problem that we're facing is so huge. And it's also outside, it's outside of our industry as well.
Yes.
So I was feeling very helpless during the summertime about what can I do? Where's my sphere of influence? And, Big Break Foundation is kind of the byproduct of that, is saying, okay, what can we do to change the industry and to be a resource and to support groups who've already been doing the work, like Creative Quest Foundation and Harriet B's Daughters, and support TEA, support IAPA. What can we do to be a catalyst for change, to amplify and to help and take care of all the paperwork, take care of some of the hard stuff, and just amplify these. Hey, RJ, there he is.
Shout out to RJ.
RJ was very, and I know RJ remembers that conversation. I'm sure he does. I mean, it was a great, really, and we put on some really great events. And then it was like, okay, we know, we were inspired by social justice, but accessibility was also a component of this that's rarely discussed. Mm-hmm. And so we're supporting the full, creating the most inclusive design as possible is our goal. So that's a long-winded example to their question of some dots filling in the journey about that.
Absolutely. And as we peel the layers of the great work that Big Break Foundation is going to be doing, it'll again get into the problems that we're proposing to solve as well. Monai, anything you want to add to the conversation before we unveil?
I mean, it just along the process, I've been in this for 6 months, started having conversations in August with Patrick about this foundation. He, we coined the Klingiverse, and at this point, I was just like, oh, Patrick's, he has his hand in everything in another project, and he's like, no, this is going to be bigger, and we started having conversations about me coming on board, and I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to volunteer, I'd love to support, and I just remember him saying like, no, we want you to lead the charge. And even in that moment, I was like, okay, and insert Chuck. He's talking about Chuck and Patrick, and I knew very little about Chuck. But we had a wonderful dinner in Orlando, and Chuck flew down with his wife, Renee, and we just talked. And I'll be honest, I had some hesitation just because, let's be real. Let's touch on the elephant in the room. It's two white guys starting a foundation talking about diversity and inclusion and equity. And so I needed to understand a little bit more, A, what I'm signing up for, and B, not wanting to be a token, and C, just making sure everybody's hearts and minds are ready for the journey we're about to embark. And I'll never forget the words that Chuck spoke to me, and basically what sealed the deal for me. He said, we need to start now, and we need to build the legacy. And I was like, yes. And in that moment, I squealed yes. I remember calling a handful of friends and just talking about the idea of Big Break. And they were like, you were meant for this role. Between my time at Give Kids the World, just other social justice movements that I've partnered myself with, and just my life experience essentially prepared me for the job of executive director. I'm so happy to share it with all you all.
And you are a fantastic leader, by the way. It's an absolute pleasure working with you. And I love and appreciate your honesty about, the hesitation initially. And, people may say that you look at the about page or go to the leadership page and you see Chuck and Patrick and question and wonder things. But, like anything, it takes a village to make progress. Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is Patrick and Chuck have resources and access and a network. And if they're by, their good graces wanting to share that, that's where it starts. It's all about opening doors. So just, shout out for A, acknowledging that, Monai, and then B, doing this great work. So with that, let's talk more about Big Break Foundation.
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Would you like me to pull up some visuals to help you?
Yes. Yes, please. Absolutely.
Okay, let's go for it.
I do have to shout you out, Summer. Very quickly, when I got brought on board, Patrick introduced me to you, and I just want to share with everybody that Summer is a volunteer. She does not work for Big Break Foundation yet, and definitely a lot of what you see today would not have come to fruition, in addition to our incredible executive council and many conversations that we've already had with some people behind the scenes, RJ and Cynthia, Kyle, Chris, Sina. Guys, check me if I'm forgetting anybody. Free, yes. And just so many others. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. And then just my people from former jobs, just pulling in all the resources to start doing the work. So just want to say a big shout out to everyone and thank you for getting us this far, but we need your help for more. So diving in, you're going to hear this term, so idea. Many people may be familiar with D&I or DEI or DIA, but we really want to dive into the idea of idea. And so to break that down a little bit more, idea is inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. And some people may question accessibility. Is that access to the industry? That's part of it, but for this terminology, it's accessibility from a disability standpoint. So just want to throw that out there and make sure everybody understands that.
Thank
I want to get into the mission and vision a little bit more. So as Big Break Foundation, we will shatter systemic barriers within location-based experience industry. And some people may question, well, what are barriers? So those are policies, procedures, or instances that aren't necessarily equitable that keep people out. And people can be from a broad range. So that's not just race or gender, that's gender identity, gender orientation, social economic, veteran status, parents. There's a lot of different approaches that we can apply to the different barriers that we want to break down. So this is a big overhaul. We're coming at it from a broad approach because we want inclusion and equity and access for all. So we want to make sure that we include everyone and everything.
Monai, can I comment on that?
Absolutely.
So I asked her because she's in charge. So there was a bit of a aha moment I had, and I want to just say this to all. There's so many great people in this industry, and unbeknownst to ourselves, we are benefiting from the systemic barriers that are in the industry itself. It doesn't mean that we've created them, but we are sustaining them in almost all the cases. We are sustaining those, and so we're trying to point those out so that then we can break them down. So I'm going to give you a really good example that Cynthia Sharp has given in the past, and it really stuck with me, which is to say this. If you're in a room and let's just say you're looking for a 3-week project coordinator or a month-long project coordinator, at many companies I've been into, you will look into a room of other people and you will say, hey, does anybody know somebody who'd be good for this job? And if you're looking into a room that is male-dominated or white-dominated, generally speaking, they are all going to know other white people or other males that may be targeting these roles. And so that's a very, and you know what? I've never thought twice about that. I've been in these rooms and I've said, oh yeah, I know somebody and I have somebody in mind that I can put forward. But that's a systemic barrier. It's inequitable to do that. You need to have a broad search, and we are going to be providing more resources of how to go and do outreach into the community to find other people who are just as capable for that role and may not just be a friend you know. We all know we'd like to get the friend we know, but unfortunately that is causing problems. It's keeping people out of our industry. So I've always found that to be a really finite example of I did it, never thought twice about it. I've recruited people doing that exact same thing. Unfortunately, it's part of the problem.
Correct.
No, that is a great example, Patrick. Thank you for sharing.
Good
so diving in, so ultimately, as I shared, our mission is to shatter systemic barriers to achieve our overall vision for the acceleration and transformation of the location-based experience industry so that we can become the most equitable and just environment on the planet, and really, truly making this industry out of this world. There's so much great talent out there, and it's just learning and finding them and applying them to the roles that exist, and then also sharing this industry. I'll say it. I was immersed in this industry from birth till now, and I never thought of this industry as a career. When I started looking in high school and aligning myself with where I wanted to go for college and what I wanted to do for a living, themed entertainment and location-based experiences never came to mind. So we're going to be not only breaking down the barriers, and I'll elaborate more on that later, but then also amplifying those and eventually doing outreach outside of this industry to make it the most diverse industry that we can. Patrick, I know that you have something to say.
I had something to say. We went through obviously many iterations of this. Give the vision back. You can put the please, Kelly. And we chose every word very carefully. And I wanted to specifically put something in here or target something that says we will accelerate the transformation, because we do acknowledge that there are other people out there that have been doing the legwork and planting the seeds, and like Harriet B's Daughters and Creative Quest Foundation, and people within the TEA and people within IAPA. People are, and they've been trying to do this for a long time, who have been doing this for a long time. we want to partner with everybody and accelerate that as so that it's we're steel sharpening steel. It is not just, hey, we're here to do this, it's just us. No, this is everybody, and we're here to help everybody on that, partnering together. So I just wanted to point out that accelerate word, because I think it was very important.
No, absolutely. And that actually brings me to our next point, and in going over our guiding principles, and we'll discuss that a little bit more. So let the most people don't know where to start. Everybody, I would say a lot of the conversations I've been having, everyone wants to do the right thing. They want to be more diverse and inclusive, but they don't know where to begin. And so we all came together and we said education was the key in that, and making sure that we enlighten tactfully on the importance of inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. And that's huge. And how we do that? Well, we amplify those who are already doing the work, just as Patrick said. And that's not just in this industry. There are people outside of this industry ensuring that marginalized communities are heard. So partnering with them and their best practices and applying it to this industry and carrying it. And then, of course, celebrating. This industry is very collaborative, but we really need to embrace one another's differences, because that's what's going to make the experience in the end for the audience and for us within the industry enjoyable. And doing that in a safe, non-judgmental environment. I think a lot of people hear diversity and inclusion and instantly clam up. Yes, it's a serious topic, as Summer said in the beginning, but we all need to take a breath. We have good intentions and we need to move forward. By no means are we experts. I don't want to allude to that at all. But just as Patrick said, and what we'll be saying throughout the tone of this and going forward, we all need to come together, celebrate one another, and create the change that we want to see. Yeah. And then trailblaze unapologetically in our fight to eliminate barriers. There's going to be naysayers and critics. That's just the nature of the beast. But I will say, as a whole, people are already doing the work, and we're going to continue to trailblaze to the vision that we want, and that's inclusion for all.
I've got a couple of comments on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you've said a couple of times, our focus thus far has been on the location-based entertainment industry. Mm-hmm. And you said, well, we hope to expand that outside that industry at some point in time. That is an overarching goal of ours. However, we were trying to take a realistic and practical approach to this to say, okay, this is a heavy topic and it's an uncomfortable topic. And what I've learned since I've gotten involved in this is I don't know the nomenclature. I don't know the isms, the right things to say, the wrong things to say. But you know what? I'm willing to jump in right now today and make an effort. And what I've learned is that's the most important thing, is for people to say, if, I'm going to say I'm going to get involved, but I'm going to take an action and do that and jump in right now, here and now. And furthermore, I think focusing on our industry, this quirky, unusual, very rewarding industry that we all have benefited from, for us, for Patrick and I and the rest of the team, it's a way to kind of focus our energy on something achievable in our lifetime. Because if you expand way beyond that, you don't know if you're actually going to have an impact. We may all be long gone before, the work that we're doing today actually will affect people. But by keeping it within our industry, first and foremost, we're going to see results right away. And I think we're actually already starting to see that with our efforts. So, that the wording there, we act is really important, to emphasize on enlighten, amplify, celebrate, and trailblaze. So super exciting, Yeah,
I want to comment on that. Is we're all going to make mistakes. I'm going to have the wrong tone. I've already done it. I did that last weekend. I'm going to ruffle feathers, or I'm going to make mistakes myself. Everybody has blind spots, Yes. That's really what Chuck was talking about. So I may be very well in tune with the LGBTQIA plus community, but I may not be in tune with the needs of another marginalized community, or a community within itself maybe have different needs. There's concepts out there called intersectionality. And I think what's the most important thing for us to do as people who are in these spaces is to try to put down our defenses. So immediately when we are told something is offensive, when we've been in this system for so long. Sorry, that's me, Kelly. I just want to be a big. When we've been in the system and we're used to a ride like Splash Mountain, never thought twice about it. You're used to Trader Sam at the Jungle Cruise. You're used to not having a black or gay Disney prince or princess. That's just normal life because that's the society we live in. But we should not feel guilty or bad when those changes are made to be more inclusive. It's not our fault. We didn't create this society. We're trying to change it now. And as soon as you change your lens a little bit, it is everywhere. And the thing is as white privileged males such as myself and Chuck, we very rarely ever had to think about that. We very rarely ever have to think of how we talk to people, our tone with people. Yet Monai and Summer have to think about that nonstop every single day. And so I'm going to make mistakes. Chuck's going to make mistakes, and it's okay. I think it's all about trying to not be so defensive and to come to the table with trying to learn the why. And I want to be very clear. This is not some propaganda left wing out of blue. It's not. This is not a political inclusivity. It's not a political statement. It is a human statement about how we can foster a better environment for our industry. Because right now, we're not representing the stories that are out there. They're being neglected, and we need to have those storytellers as part of the process to have that. And our creative, our art form is going to expand and be more beautiful exponentially when we do that. So back to you in the studio, Monai. I just wanted to add that little thing.
No, actually, to add to that, I had this conversation with Summer. Through this journey, I thought I knew a lot about accessibility, just working at this world, and I've learned so much. My eyes have been open, especially when it comes to accessibility and technology. Just how inequitable it is, and learning those gaps. For me, I'll share. I'm agnostic, but I know the people around me may have religious beliefs that from a human to human level, I want to better understand so that I can support, advocate, provide needs, or just exist in the same space and learn something new. And I've heard this a couple times, is like, why are we having these conversations? It's just business. Well, having equitable practices and procedures in a company is good for business. There's data that supports it, better employee retention, a better overall product. And for a big example for me was Princess and the Frog. I was an adult when I watched that movie, and when it came out, I already loved New Orleans and just the spirit and the culture. No matter how much adversity they face, they continue to celebrate, and I love that. And when Princess and the Frog came out, I was in college, and I was just like, yes. And thinking about it, putting the lens on it, and what that would have done for me as a child, seeing that would have been huge. It would have been life-changing. It was life-changing even as an adult, let's be real. So to expand upon that within this industry and throughout the world, I can't even imagine the possibilities. And I'm excited, and I want to work in that with you all and create that.
And I want to add to the blind spots again, because you're absolutely right with accessibility. That is another area that I have a lot to learn from. And like you had mentioned, another good example about technology, in that same conversation I was sharing, Monai, with an acquaintance that I met. He was mentioning how he can't use a simple service called Lyft and Uber when he goes out on night on the town because he's in a wheelchair. He can't just hop on the app and have a car come pick him up. And so it's not about, another term that's also thrown out is political correctness, right? Mm-hmm. It's not about that at all. It's just about seeing yourself in things. Mm-hmm. And Princess and the Frog is another great example. Yes, we loved seeing her, a beautiful chocolate princess. I was a little concerned that, she was a frog most of the damn video, or movie. But I digress. But it is about reflecting the consumer base, your audience. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, look, Black Panther, perfect example.
Wakanda, baby. And it made economic sense. More importantly, at the end of the day, how much money was garnered?
Exactly.
Because we care about that, right?
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Monai, I love the conversation too, because it's, we all come at this from different perspectives and different personal experiences. My oldest son, I have 4 children. My oldest son, Chase, who's 16, has autism. So I have lived and breathed the experience of going to theme parks and being a parent and realizing that I can't take him on the same rides or put him in a loud, crowded room or keep him in line. He doesn't have the patience for that. So therefore, we're denied an experience that other people enjoy. And I look at that and I go, well, I've never experienced that kind of inequity in my life, right? Now I'm seeing it through a different lens, through my son. So I think all these things relate to, celebrating people that are different and really trying to bring them together and lift them up and, amplify that message. And that's really what we're doing through this foundation, which is so exciting.
Yeah.
I think, theme parks and the world that we live in is so freaking cool. And what we do is so amazing that we just, we want to share it with as many people as we can. We want to bring people into the industry, mentor them, teach them the path to get to where we've gotten, as well as, hopefully instill in those same people the values so that they're designing those attractions to make them more accessible, to their family members and to a larger segment of society that has been unfortunately left out.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, for those who aren't familiar, I definitely encourage you all looking them up. Morgan's Wonderland is like goals for this industry. It's an all-inclusive amusement and water park, and just being able to have that throughout this entire industry and every experience, that's our overall goal. Making sure everyone is included with a voice and a seat at the table. It's not just having a seat at the table, because I've had it and been told no, or not heard, or shut down, or invalidated. It's embracing everyone and what they have to provide to that experience and making it the best.
And that's
not a big break, right? You've had a good experience at Big Break Foundation.
Not a big break. Not a big break.
You were shot down so many times. Like, oh.
No, I will say, like, and you guys don't even know this, but like, I'll remember the first time where I wanted to, elaborate a little bit more or challenge something or give my perspective. And I saw both of you and our executive council, and you were just like, yeah, okay, yeah. And I will tell you, years of no really trickled off my back, and I was like, yes, this is what I'm meant to do. And so, no, not a Big Break Foundation.
You want to go back to the plan?
Yeah, go back to, I know we went off just a little bit.
No, I love that. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah. So our plan, a little unusual to your normal business model or nonprofit model. Typically, you would start from a micro level and work your way up. But the reality is that the majority of the problems and the barriers are entwined within the process. And to be able to dismantle them and shatter them, we need the leaders, the decision makers. So we're starting from a macro level, and that's where Chuck and Patrick and our executive council and those who partner with us, it's going to be important that we have that buy-in to shatter those barriers. Once we get to a good place there, our phase 2 is to amplify and assist. We have years of barriers that we have to undo. And there's some people who have been affected by them who are currently in this industry. and finding them and making sure we're assisting them, getting them to the place that they want to go. And then Chuck and Patrick and I have alluded to, outreach, not only outreach within this industry, but outside this industry to show that this is a reputable career path. I know there's this sense of, we just have fun. It's not a true career, but it's not the reality. Just like Patrick said, every discipline that you can think of that you would go to school or major is within this industry. And so we want to chat with organizations and communities and schools and universities to get kids and students and adults excited about this industry and wanting to join us in our efforts to not only make it equitable, but enjoyable and proper representation.
And I also want to add to that this is where your pipeline comes from a corporate standpoint. When you start reaching out at whether it's the high school level, the colleges and the universities, and specifically when you're talking about colleges and universities, outside of the mainstream schools that you would typically recruit from. This is establishing relationships with more state schools, junior colleges, maybe even trade schools as well, and HBCUs. So when people are saying, well, I can't find qualified people, the question becomes, where are you looking exactly? Mm-hmm. And if it's still in your sphere and the same people then okay, maybe not so much, but it's really going to be when you're doing that outreach work where that pipeline of talent is going to come from.
Yeah.
I'll just add to that. I know I mentioned RJ a lot, but it's he had a lot of good things to say. He's a very smart man. Right now, the ordering of this is very important, which is to say we are going to transform our industry right now, and we need to do that before we start to do outreach, because I can't go sincerely out into a community and say, hey, you are welcomed here, if that's not 100% true, and that there are barriers in place, or there is, microaggressions, or casual racism, which I've witnessed in my job, or hostilities and things like that. Like we need to weed those out, point them out, call them out, so that those are gone before we can go in and welcome people. Because if we do all the outreach in the world, and it's not an inclusive environment, people are going to leave. Because why would you stay in a racist environment? I don't want to work in a racist environment. I don't want to work in a sexist, a homophobic, transphobic environment. I don't want to work in those environments. I'm not going to work for a company that has that type of environment. The next generation of talent is the exact same way. I've worked with them. They're beautiful, wonderful, amazing people. So we are helping all these companies out there that are going to transform. So systemic barriers, step one. Step two, right, amplify, and then we can do that sincere long-term outreach. We will chew gum and chew gum and walk at the same time. But it is very important that we do this first step. We do the work at home, in our workplaces, at our events, networking events. We need to do the work there. So back to you in the studio. I just wanted to add that little comment.
No, and I want to expand on that too. High school and universities might even be too late. So looking at elementary aged children and really introducing them to this world. And there's so many different ways in doing that. And some people would say, marginalized communities may not have access to experiences. And so we even want to expand upon that. I know like museums are really good about having free days, but sometimes that's not always communicated to those who would benefit from something like that. I was very privileged and fortunate enough that my family could afford to be able to go to these experiences. But let's be real, we need to be thinking about who can't enjoy the experiences for whatever reason and find solutions so that there's not this othering effect where they don't have access. And that's part of that sincere outreach as well.
One more thing, I forgot to mention this, is that I actually think there are a lot of people that are already working in operations and entertainment at the park that'd be perfect for tons of jobs that are already, that are from marginalized groups that are not represented right now. So I think this is really in close, this is very close proximity, and this is what RJ was telling me. He's like, look, you can go to the Lion King show. He worked there as a puppeteer, or, he was an artist there. And it's like, there's all sorts of people. They just don't know that, 1 mile to the north is Disney Creative Entertainment where they produce these shows. You know, they don't have the access. It's just like, so bridging that gap in the communication is so important to expand. And it's not even, we're not giving people like a helping hand. It's just breaking down that door and saying, hey, this is over here. If you'd like it, great. If you don't, you're on your own. You're already qualified for it. We're just putting you, we're just making sure that you have access to it, which is also a very important detail.
No, absolutely. Okay, move on to next slide.
Slide 2. No.
So we talk about who it is that we're serving, and those are marginalized communities. But from a bigger perspective, who we want to partner with to help to do the work to create the vision that we see. Industry professionals, associations, academia. This is huge. Summer alluded to the different design schools or art schools or themed entertainment universities. We have to change their thinking as well. Students who may be learning right now and not necessarily learning the most equitable practices. I have a friend learning UX design, and I knew that she hadn't gotten to the accessibility portion of her learning, and I told her the things that I've learned on this journey, and she called it out. She said, I didn't see any of this. So we have to change the mentality there and what's being taught. And then, of course, community organizations. There's so many people doing the work, maybe not necessarily in this, with the focus of themed entertainment and location-based experiences, but serving the marginalized community, breaking down barriers, educating on inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility, and making sure that we amplify their voice as well. So a lot of people that we need to bring to the table to achieve our overall vision.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the 4 of us. But it's a tall glass, to fill. How do you stay motivated? And this is to all of you. How do you stay motivated to keep doing this work?
Well, I'll say, I'm in it every day. And so Chuck and Patrick are great at introducing people to start having the conversations with. And so many people are saying the same thing. I want to start now. How do I do it? And that gives me energy. That so many people, their mind and heart is already made up. They just don't necessarily know the right steps to take, and have validated the need for Big Break Foundation and how important it is to this industry. And so that gives me hope. I will say one of my concerns coming into this space was, well, how receptive is everyone going to be about Big Break Foundation and what we want to do and what we're proposing? And I would say the majority are all in. They're ready to start our journey with us and start creating, and we're ready to harness that power.
Patrick?
What keeps me motivated is that once you have this lens on, you're constantly being infuriated by the world around you. Not to be too negative. And even, sometimes, so I'm constantly being motivated and driven to try to do the right thing. There are such clear steps that we can take today across, whether it's TEA or TETV or IAPA, where we can start to make change. So it's actually very empowering that there are little changes that can happen that are going to start making an impact. So I'm empowered that we're in a space to actually make change. That's empowering. And what fuels me is the constant flow of companies, organizations that are making inclusive decisions. And sometimes, even me, I see a decision made out there and I'm like, really, come on. And then I talk and I think about it. I'm like, no, okay, that's the right thing to do. And I'm starting part of the co-founder of this organization. And I still have it buried within me, the defensiveness of my society that I grew up in. It's deep. It runs deep. It's very deep. So that keeps me motivated every day to keep having the conversations, keep amplifying voices for marginalized communities, because I learn something new every single day, and I'm better because I'm surrounded by a diverse set of people at TETV that bring ideas to the table that I've never even thought of. And that's inspiring. The people that are willing to step forward to be a part of missions like that is very inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Chuck?
I think what motivates me in this big break journey is building this great foundation and building great people as a result of it. I remember last summer, Patrick, you and I, tossing this idea back and forth, and we really didn't know exactly where this was going. And I knew in my heart, I'd spent 3 decades building a very successful business in our industry. So building the business part of it seemed easy and fluent to me. That part I wasn't worried about. But how do we do that when this is not my day job? This isn't your day job. How do we actually implement it and make it happen and make it meaningful? And I think that's really where the gift of Monai entered in the picture. And I remember, Patrick, you having to make a bit of a sales pitch to me to say, all right, Chuck, if we're going to do this for real, we have to have an executive director. Remember what we said, we're going to put a lot of resources behind this. It took about 30 seconds for me to buy into that. I'm like, that's exactly what we need. If we're going to do this professionally and well and last forever, which was our motto, we need to do this professionally and have top level staff. And Monai just has hit it out of the park for us. I can't imagine a better spokesperson, business person. She is Big Break Foundation. She is our success story, and we've just started. And that, that's really what motivates me. Also, just the whole idea of knowing, again, what we're doing. You can't see the results today, but knowing that we're planting a garden, and someday in the very near future, we're going to see, these beautiful flowers grow that most people will say, well, where did all this come from? Wow, this is beautiful. This is perfect. This feels right. That's really what we're trying to do for our industry is, we're flowers. We're trying to grow a field of flowers and make the world a beautiful place. Ta-da. That's what motivates me.
Yeah.
I think that's not hokey pokey at all when you say that.
And, to kind of take that another step further, I've been very fortunate in my professional life and career, and having an outlet like this that allows me to channel new energy and learn from it. I'm learning so much from Patrick and Monai and Cynthia and Free and Chris and everyone involved. And Kyle. Kyle is a constant source of inspiration for me. That adds to my own kind of humanness. And, it just pushes me on and pushes me further to say, I always tell people my secret to my success is tell me I can't do something. No, you can't do that, or no, you can't achieve that. And I have always found a way to bust through and make it happen. So now this is a chance to kind of pass those learnings on and sort of open up those doors for other people and let them read my secret recipe for, how to be successful within our industry.
Yeah.
So it's all very self-motivating. So that's what keeps me going.
That's fantastic. Monai, I'm going to let you kind of close us down a little bit and share some words of inspiration. There may be someone right now watching us and wondering, how do I get started? Where do I begin?
Well, first, let's everybody take a breath. Like we went into some heavy topics, and I think everybody just needs to and take the stress of the whole idea. Where do I start? Where do I begin? How do I do this? I would say how you start, opt in, lean into idea, start asking the questions, having the conversations, going to the Big Break Foundation website and doing our Act Now toolkit so that you can get real examples that you can apply to your day-to-day. Look at our resources, and then start doing. It's not going to be perfect. We'll constantly be expanding, and join us for the journey. Help us create. What do you need? What do you want to see? because a lot of it, we have great ideas and a starting point, a foundation for our foundation. But we want to hear from you all. What is it that you need to do this work? You say you want to get started. You want to help. What do you need? And we want to create that with you and help you in every way possible. But you got to get started. You have to say, yes, I'm committed to doing this, and apply that, not just professionally and within your business, but as a human being interacting with individuals on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And another note that an oversight on my part, for the record, when I had mentioned earlier to Monai about her hesitation in terms of, initially wanting to get on with, here we are with two white guys that are founding this organization. What do you know about anything, gentlemen? I didn't give you the opportunity. So either one of you want to take the mic on that and express the audacity of you two?
Yeah, I'm happy to lead it in a little bit, and then Chuck can chat about it.
I'll pull you back off the ledge.
I saw a very inspiring webinar or lecture called "The Listening" by Harriet B's daughters. They sponsored it on, and we'll bring that out at some point. It was very inspiring and fired up a lot of us on the TEA Eastern Division board. And the primary part of that was that it is this is their philosophy and what I'm buying into. People disagree about the best way to handle these things, but basically white people built this system, and in our case white males are benefiting and sustaining the system. And so you need to have white people wake up and help tear it down, and so that we can rebuild a more equitable and just society. I've seen that work. I've been in the rooms where it's all white people, and I've seen it in action, that we need to have white advocates. And so white people that are awoken to it and have that lens, and so they can stop it in action. If you see a situation happening and your environment's been disrupted from it because a racist or a sexist comment or an ableist comment is made, I do that a lot. And I say, hey, don't use that word around me. This is why I don't want to hear that word. I don't want to hear it. And it takes a lot of audacity to do that. And it's really hard to do that with friends and family, and in a professional setting when your career's on the line, even harder. But if everybody has that mindset and we're all doing it together, we can unburden other people, and so that the one black person who's in the room isn't the only person that needs to speak out against racism. Mm-hmm. Every single person should be speaking out against racism. Men should be speaking out against sexism. We need to have that in the conversation, and that is where I feel very strongly that that's why I'm perfectly fine being a white guy and starting this organization is that purpose. And I also will say that we all feel help. I'd love for Monai. Can you talk about the idea workshop? I want people to know that there's more and more stuff that's coming and that we can get involved with, because this is not we don't have just a website that's just words. These are not just words. These are actionable plans that we're taking. The Act Now toolkit that is right now, you go on our website and build a customized toolkit full of resources based on your profession, whether you're a student, what part of the industry you're in, and we're going to keep building that because we want people to take steps right now to do so that they can start being more equitable and create a more just society. So I just wanted to get a few plugs in. Monai, back to you.
Well, Chuck, I want to hear.
Chuck, please.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the toolkit, Patrick, because Nicole Figueroa that helped us build that is phenomenal. And the toolkit is so powerful and so professionally organized and produced. I'm excited to actually implement it here at Animax as kind of the guinea pig, and to learn from that and really build on that. But I think I hate to talk in terms of white and black, but being a white male, I only have one way to experience my life, and so I haven't really seen the other side of this, like many of the people have that we're looking to lift up and help here. So it's hard for me to have that perspective. All I can say is that knowing that I have benefited so greatly in my life and my career, professionally and otherwise, gives me this impulse to find ways to give back again, to share this with more people, to use my connections, my influence, my stature, my various roles that I play, inside our industry to really open up doors and set up a path for others to come in. And I think that's really where this has been so exciting, being able to do just that. And I also want to emphasize that, being very involved in the TEA and IAPA for many, many years, and similar associations like AAM, these organizations are built on the backs of volunteers. So they don't always have the professional resources that they need to actually walk the walk. You can talk it, but walking it is a whole nother story. So I think one of the things that we're really trying to put out there with Big Break is please come to us and use us as a resource. Mm-hmm. We have money, we have connections, we are developing professional programs. We want to make them available, to our members that decide to join. We're harnessing a lot of volunteer power, but we're putting serious resources behind this effort. And we want to make that available to all these other associations so they can learn. Mm-hmm. They come to us and say, we're struggling with this. We're making mistakes. Help us. And we're saying, that's exactly what we're here for. We don't want to compete. We want to complement. Yeah. We want to help the Harriet Bees. We want to help, everyone out there, TEA, IAPA, AAM, RJ, who we picked on a lot during this call today. We want to be your partner. We want to help you get there. So the toolkit, I know there was a mention of that. Let's,
going into, so the toolkit is something that you can do right now on the website, and customize and get resources to start doing the work today. Whether that's understanding your biases, different perspectives, identifying truly what diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility are, and so forth. But as Patrick and Chuck said, we are expanding upon that. We already said education is number one, and we're developing right now our idea workshop. And right now it's currently a leadership track. As we said, most of the problems lie with the decision makers to be able to shift and strategize a new way for their company and organization to operate. And so that will be launching in June. Nicole Figueroa Rosado, she's been incredible. She's our education manager, so she's working on that. But one big point I just want to make is a lot of training, not just diversity and inclusion training. A lot of trainings, you have an outside company come in and they train for a day or a couple days or a week, and then they leave. And sometimes that training's not tailored to your community or your organization or industry. So we've been very intentional in the way that we've created this. First, identifying what idea is for your business and for this industry. And then the second portion of that module will be going into applying that within design and this industry. I have peppers, my apologies. But that will be coming soon. We want to partner with companies. Chuck has agreed to let us use Animax as a guinea pig. And from there, we just want to expand more and partner with others who are ready to do the work and truly make the change. It's not just about training. It's identifying those gaps within your company or easy things that you can do. And then we'll roll out a strategic plan after the training and assessment portion of the workshop, and then partner with you. We're not leaving you. And I think that's part of the battle is that you have these trainings and what's next. So we'll come up with a strategic plan, create it with you and your team, your leadership team, and then put actionable items, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, and then check back in a year. And throughout that process, you have us available to you. And then we'll be expanding from there. Leadership is where we're starting, but we know this is the issues we want to address everywhere and open it up to your entire company. But we need to first start with the leadership track and getting their buy-in.
Monai, so I have there's people out there right now that are probably thinking, wow, this is great. I'm so excited. I want to get involved. I have some time to volunteer. And I will just say let's do it. Let's get to work. Our first committee or our group think tank that we're going to have is actually going to be about our marketing and communications. So we've started our social media. It's very light, but we need to figure out as a group, and we want a lot of outside perspectives on this, is what is going to be the tone and the voice of our organization. So if you're watching right now, go to our website, bigbreakfoundation.org, fill out our little contact sheet and state your interest, and be prepared to see an official form go out, because we're going to be recruiting for that committee to help shape the voice of the organization. Monai, what if somebody's like, hey, I got a check for $10,000 and I want to donate? What do you say to them?
I mean, I say yes. But right now, my apologies. Right now, we're in the status of getting approved for our 501c3. But if you wanted to make a donation, we are available and willing. My number and email address is on the website, and we're going to need the resources to be able to expand on the resources for you all to start doing the work and continue doing the work within this industry. If there is any hesitation, I'm happy to discuss further about our status or opportunities, or if you want to partner and you have ideas on ways you as a company or individual want to do that. I'm open and available to you all. My email address is there, and it's also available on the website.
And right now on the website, we don't have a donate button. I believe we are going to wait till we have that certification. Just out of ethics, we want to make sure that we have that. So micro donations and big push donation pushes are going to come down the line, which sometimes people love a cause. They can't donate time, but they're willing to donate financially, which we know is going to be very helpful to this effort. So stay tuned for that, but it is intentional that right now we are not asking for donations until we get that certification. Should be happening any day, right? We did it way back in 2020, so it should be coming through. Well, yeah.
That process, I don't know.
We'll see.
There's a lot of barriers there. So,
yeah, a lot of systemic barriers with that.
the good IRS.
Now, to our fabulous producer, Kelly, and thank you again for helping us with this inaugural episode. Are there any questions? And I'm seeing some now. Ooh.
Well, first things first. Hi, Malia. Looking forward to connecting and having lunch, dinner soon. So in regards to a job board, so we're trying to find the best solutions for that. It definitely has come up. We are trying to make a decision on whether or not we would partner with an existing company, organization, or companies to lean on job board, but definitely a talking point. Yeah. We're trying to formulate that a little bit more, but definitely something that's come up in our strategic plan for year one. So those jobs are available to qualified people, and everyone is seeing it.
Yeah, that's something that's come up quite a bit, actually. People have started texting me saying, hey, I see what you're doing. I'm trying to, do a little help. And I think the challenge, we're trying to also not double efforts of other organizations. TEA has a job board. IAPA has a job board. LinkedIn, you can find jobs, So it's not a no, it's a how do we help other organizations that are already doing it so that it's not, we're not doing something that somebody else is doing. And a robust job board is also quite a lot of work. So if you'd like to start the job board and join us as a volunteer, yeah, we're not going to stop you. That's kind of our thought process behind that.
Patrick's always recruiting.
No, absolutely. And I know Malia is already on board. Like I said, we've had chats. We're going to be meeting up soon. But for the job board too, as well, just to kind of elaborate, I would say before we even get started, when people are applying for jobs, look for those maybe not typical places that you would post. So TEA and IAPA and LinkedIn or Indeed might not be the right places. But like, for example, Chuck, I know Robin's partnering, their HR director is partnering with the National Black Engineers of America, making sure that you get diverse talent. Another great organization, Chronically Capable, they started in 2020 after the founder was let go. She got her dream job, but then was diagnosed with a chronic illness, and she had to basically quit. And remote work isn't as readily available at that time. Things are changed now, of course. But making sure the chronically able have an opportunity. So partnering with organizations like that, getting our jobs out there. Yeah. I know there was another question. Did I see?
Woo! Great foundation be running a program to help buy talent and have that. Okay.
That is a great question, Randy, and definitely something that has been brought up. I know when we had a panel with Creative Quest Foundation a few months back, it was another point. So I would say yes. I would want to make sure that, once again, we're partnering with maybe Creative Quest Foundation or other organizations to help lift BIPOC talent up. So absolutely.
Yeah, and the TEC workshop series, we've had discussion, or at least a long time ago, we had talks with Morgan that this is also something that she's striving for as well. So we'll be looking for other, partners in the industry, I think, for sure, to do that. I think there's idea. I'm sure we can help TEA do that. I'm sure we can help IAPA do that. I think there's a lot of places that we can do to help get those seeds planted and inspire people to do that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think that was all of our questions.
Perfect.
Wow. Time flies when you're having fun. I'm going to pull up ways that audience can connect with us and stay engaged.
Absolutely.
While doing that, Monai and Chuck and Patrick, if you've got, just some words of encouragement or something funny to say, how would you close us out?
Well, I'll go last. Chuck, Patrick, if you want.
I would close it out by saying, and I said this on social media the other day, it really takes a village to accomplish great things. And this is a true group effort here. I could not possibly dream about doing something like this all by myself. Neither could Patrick.
Yeah.
And as we've gotten Big Break rolling, we found that it's this amazing Pied Piper effect that just keeps getting more and more people jumping on board, and that is creating such a great positive energy. It's really hard to put that into words how exciting that is and satisfying that is. So we want to encourage more of you to find a way to get involved with us. I think I always like to think about Big Break as a big cuddly teddy bear mentor. We're essentially mentoring generations of people into our field, which is awesome. And I love that whole concept. So, don't be shy. If anyone's out there that thinks that I'm unreachable or Patrick or Monai are unreachable, try again, time out, message me, message Patrick, message us. We're human beings. We're here. We want to talk to you. We want to hear your thoughts and ideas. And, it's those ideas that'll just make us better. Mm-hmm. And, this is a very fluid, organic foundation that we've started that has lots of room for expansion, new perspectives, and new ways of helping people. So don't be shy, reach out. Your idea may end up the next, link on our website that will grow a lot more flowers out in the field and make us all look better. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add, we kind of glossed over it slightly, but the team that we have behind this organization, our executive council, is a dream team. So when Chuck and I, first we're having these discussions, we said, well, we need to surround ourselves with a lot of different people who know a lot more about this than us. And, Cynthia Sharp is an absolute trailblazer in this. She's been doing this work since, I'm not going to age how long she's been doing it. She's been doing it a long time. And has been pushing boundaries, and has started in her own organization with Nicola Rossini. And she's a big inspiration to me, and Free Fortune Dam, same thing. I remember being inspired by her, watching during a SATE and just saying, I would love to just collaborate and work with this person in some capacity. And she's a part of this organization and is an incredible person. Chris Wilson is an amazing guy as well. I just met him through this organization, but his insights and his intelligence are really remarkable with accessibility. Kyle Ozer, who is a character and a half and an absolute delight to have gotten to know over the past year. I didn't really know him until this moment, or until Big Break over the summer. But he's an absolute, character and fun-loving and really passionate guy who keeps us on our toes and keeps driving us forward. And who's been a trailblazer at having discussions for a long time as well with the TEA. And then we have, of course, a new member, CNS, coming on. I'm really excited about that. His perspective on accessibility is really quite remarkable. And so these people that we met with not monthly, it was weekly, and was driving this conversation really came together to make this happen. So while, and myself and Monai and Summer and Chuck are here, there are so many people who helped bring this to this point. Like Nicole Figueroa, of course, who's our education leader, Emily Lee, who was our fantastic marketing specialist, except she's now going off somewhere even amazing. We're really excited about that. And a lot of other people counseled during this process, and we really appreciate their thoughtfulness to try to help steer us in the right direction, because we know these waters can be very challenging and full of landmines. So big thank you to everybody who's been involved up to this point.
Yeah. And I just want to say not only a thank you, but for those that we haven't had conversations with, for those who are ready to partner with us, chat with us, reach out. We want to do the work together. Let's create the equitable and just industry and environment that we all want to live and exist in, so that there's proper representation and storytelling. Do it now. Go to bigbreakfoundation.org. Follow us on all of our social medias. And then do the Act Now Toolkit. Look at our resources. I know it may be a lot, but we need to educate ourselves, and we need to make sure that we understand the journey that we're about to embark on. You don't know everything, and that's okay. It's about doing it right now, starting today. So I'm going to end with that. I look forward to meeting and knowing each and every one of you and creating together.
Awesome. I just want to again applaud you guys on a job well done. There's so much work to be done, but you have done a tremendous amount so far. So just bravo to you. There's a lot to be happy about. And again, you continue to roll your sleeves up and keep doing the work. But just, thank you. And thank you again publicly, Patrick, for just introducing me to this world that I never even considered. Who would have thought? Some of the best things happen on Twitter, I swear. So with that, and again, Big Break Foundation TV is a compliment to the organization. We are looking forward to showing you some great programming. Again, it's all about amplifying and celebrating all types of voices. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe to TETV. What the heck have you been doing? Please do so now. And look out for us. But with that, cheers to a better, more inclusive world. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Summer.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.